1 and part 2. All right, so this will be part 2.
Yeah, I guess part two. We were right in the middle of a very worthy rant,
Yeah.
and the electricity cut off, and it shut our ability to record off. Well, we'll have to just edit the two together.
Almost halfway through, too.
Almost halfway
So,
through.
all right.
So what were we
We were
talking
talking about
about?
favors, politicians.
Right, and I said I really do like to laugh, in
Yeah.
spite of my edgy kind of crazy ass demeanor, where I want to start slugging it out. That's my dark side. But my dark side, I think, is more fun to watch as a spectator than Mr. Marshmallow sitting on a chair like this, right?
No marshmallows.
So, but I do love to laugh, and I'd rather laugh than scowl and grit my teeth. But when you're talking about politicians and doing favors and how they go, I can't help but think of all of those poor suckers that were trying to get across the Washington Bridge during rush hour, and Governor Christie's office somewhere in the halls of his governorship, they decided to leave a few lanes closed on purpose. I mean, how many times have I know you've seen this. You're on the highway. It's the turnpike. It's the parkway. It's going over a friggin' bridge. And there's a couple of orange cones cutting off like half the highway, and there's nobody around. There are no construction workers. There's no hard hat people. There's no jackhammers. There's no shit. There's just a couple of cones. And you're like, well, should I stop and toss them to the curb? Because if I do that, maybe there's a hole on the road, another 300-400 feet down. Like, what are they doing there? And the highway is backed up for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. That's New Jersey, gang.
Wow. Yeah.
Bridgegate,
absolutely. It was a beauty. So
that was a beauty.
Well, it actually derailed his. I think it derailed his presidential hopeful. He was hopeful to become the president, the nomination for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
But I think that hurt him big time. I think he was never looked at the same. But I think he's going to make another run now.
You think so?
Yeah. But I tell you, all these...
He really fell from grace for me, and that had nothing to do with it. You know what I didn't like about our former governor?
Yeah.
The way he was on his knees kissing Donald Trump's ass after Trump won the
16?
The Republican primary.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to conform, John, if you want to...
I know, but it was so blatant. It was so obvious. It was like, oh, geez, it's like, oh, God, no.
How about when the former governor shut down all the Jersey beaches?
Yeah.
Except the part where he was on. Remember?
That famous picture.
That aerial shot of him and the beaches. I'll tell you, New Jersey governors don't have a lot of luck with beaches, right? Didn't another governor get in trouble on the beach? He was with a friend.
Was it the present governor?
No.
You're talking about McGreevey.
Yeah. Something happened on a beach as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, beaches and New Jersey governors, I guess they just don't
That's like that old joke,
What?
right? The worst pickup line you can think of. Hey, babe, you want to play World War II? What's that? I lie on the beach and you blow the shit out of me. We can't leave that. I think we just screwed this video.
That's a tough one.
You never heard that one before?
No, I haven't heard it. It's a doozy, though.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, World War II. But, so politicians. So if you're doing favors, John, for everybody, by the time you get to the governor, so just think as you keep going, and you're a senator now. And
major editing on this one.
We'll see. Hey, listen, it's 2022.
Yes, it is.
Happens. Are you kidding me? That's nothing. But you know what I'm saying? So you're doing all these favors for people as, governor, senator. By the time you get to president or you go to Washington, it's all about favor. It's favor city. So now you're kind of losing your way about you. It's no longer, let me improve my county, my town, my county, my state. Let me just improve myself and keep my life going.
Right.
Look what's going on now with the party with this opening up the border. A lot of Democrats are going to the administration and telling him, you can't do this because Now, this is whether they believe it or not that the border should be open or closed, Title 42, because it's going to hurt me. I'm running for election. I mean, that's all they care about is getting reelected time after time again. I'm a big proponent, and it's the one thing 45 couldn't do was term limits.
Yeah.
Why should somebody go to Washington and become a trillionaire? You know,
Isn't that the objective?
yes. Well, like while
Right.
our country struggles, people struggle.
Right.
You know, that's not right. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, this country was the best, has the best system in the world. We are the youngest country. We're the most successful country, and our founding fathers laid out perfectly the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, etc. But guess what? They didn't account for that word, that greed, that people would abuse the power that they have,
Right.
and their God-given right to freedom. And it's pretty sad, actually.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And that's like we talked about in previous episodes. You know, we need people to step up, and to really put themselves out there. You know, maybe sacrifice their life, not physically sacrifice their life, but maybe the comforts they've had in life, to really go move forward and with an agenda that will help the people. I don't know, just me saying. Politicians.
No,
I mean,
yeah, no, you're right. I can't think of a dirtier game than the game of politics.
and it's been like this forever. This is nothing new.
I mean, why do politicians want to be reelected? Is it because they just, is it just ego? Is it ego plus they know that their puppet masters and handlers are relying on them? They've cultivated a relationship now that's going on for 4 years, 10 years, 16 years, and they want to stay feeding at the public trough, like Jim Gerhardt used to say, feeding at the public trough.
Wow. I mean, we have 2 state senators in New Jersey. I honestly couldn't tell you what have they done, any bill they've pushed or something that came across the news or a headline that said state senator so-and-so comes up with this new law, improves this, improves that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Never. It's never happened. How about that Frank Lautenberg? He was a senator for a long time. Was he a senator for like 50 years?
Long time. Yeah,
right?
and
He was like
down in
100.
down in Camden, and he was phenomenally wealthy. I don't know whether he invented or founded the company, but I believe he was the president of ADP,
oh, wow.
which was I think automatic data processing,
Sure,
whatever.
sure.
Where apparently that's where that company where they made their money was handling paychecks. They did all sorts of processing and payroll and accounting or whatever for companies all over the country. So if you got your paycheck in the mail, chances are it's at ADP. I mean, who thinks of that? I mean, these people are,
I noticed, with national TV news and radio news, John, that a lot of people running for new positions, senators and new congressmen, are military, ex-military, retired military.
Right.
And I think that's honorable. Not only are they serving, I mean, you serve not for yourself, you serve for your country. So maybe there's a new mindset of politician coming in that they truly believe, like, we served our country one way, and now we're going to serve our country this way.
Is this where it's going, Bones?
All hail to Bones,
You think he's got his sights set now instead of Hollywood? Maybe it's Washington?
Yeah, maybe. He's going to become a politician.
We're in trouble.
That means we're in
if he's
trouble. Yeah. We'll be getting pickpocketed soon.
That's
They'll be
right.
run right after our wallet. I mean, John McCain, look at John McCain, was a war hero and became a politician for a very long time. Just one. Kelsey Gabbard, she's currently
Tulsi Gabbard, yeah.
Yeah, she's currently serving. in
Oh,
the
I love
military.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like she's afraid to not go with the flow. Like she's not afraid to have her own opinion,
Well,
which is amazing. Imagine, isn't that refreshing?
During the Democratic primaries leading up to the 2020 presidential election, I thought she was fabulous. I liked her before that, and I even donated to her campaign.
Oh wow!
But I realized she's too real. She's everything a politician should be. For the people, by the people, on behalf of the people, in service of others and not herself, which is why the DNC killed her off. And who did they choose?
Was that Hillary?
No. Person that's in the White House
Oh, it was
now.
Biden? Yeah.
No, Kamala Harris.
Oh, Kamala
She
for
killed
VP.
Harris.
Yeah.
She killed Harris in the primaries.
Yes,
Destroyed her.
Well, didn't everybody kill Harris in the primaries?
I guess.
She dropped out with less than 1% of the vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The support.
Yeah.
But didn't Hillary Clinton call Gabbard an agent of Russia?
Yes.
What was that
Yeah.
over? Do you remember?
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't remember what that was for, but an agent of Russia. That seems to be the go-to now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they try
Hillary
to do
Clinton's just an ugly joke that should be censored.
Yeah. Talk about coming from nowhere, rags to riches. I mean, the Clintons. I mean, nobody did it better than them. Did they write the book, maybe?
Nobody did it better. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it always makes me think when there's somebody that becomes so successful and so powerful and handles so much money, just gobs and gobs billions of dollars, and they seem like they're everywhere. There's this going on and there's that going on, and they're everywhere putting their flag in the ground. There's an earthquake in Haiti, boom, they're there. $6 billion, go for funding, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Didn't they rebuild Haiti?
No, yeah, right. I think they sent a few people down there with rakes to rake up the mess, to rake up, the leaves that fall from the trees. It always makes me think that there's a monster behind them. So there's the monster that we're allowed to see, and then there's the real monster that's behind them. Everybody focuses on George Soros, and he's a little poisonous toad. But I would really love to follow the threads to see where they lead from behind him, or behind the Bushes, or behind the Clintons.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple books written on the history of the Clintons, where they came from, how they rose to prominence, and let me tell you, it's I don't know. Listen, there's a lot of allegations about the Clintons.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
allegations. There are.
And I don't know how much of that is true. I mean, but they played a game. I'll tell you what, there's no bet. Say what you want about Bill Clinton. He was an amazing politician. He could play the game. He really did work both sides of the aisles. I was not a Bill Clinton fan.
No, he did. Yeah,
but
you're right.
He was, even there's some Republicans out there that'll say that, you know what, he was a decent person to work with. Because he was in such trouble, I think, after his first 4 years, that he had to extend the olive branch a little bit and work with the opposing party. And this way, he had a good chance of being elected a second time, which he was, And I believe if we're talking about people being placed in upper echelon directors, I think he was the first president, and I could be wrong, people, so please, on your comments, but I know when he came into office, he fired every attorney general there was in the United States, and he replaced them with his own people. So once you do that, you kind of control the game, right?
Sounds like it.
Now, I'm not sure if every president does that, but I know Clinton was one president that did that. Fired all the attorney generals and put his own people in, appointed his own people.
I don't know. Imagine if the Supreme Court was like that. With each regime change, everybody gets fired.
Wow.
Or at least the people that are of the opposition party get fired.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I'll tell you, think of the layout, the different houses of Congress that we have in Washington, John, that were set up by the Founding Fathers. I mean, you have the Senate, the House with the Congress, and you have the Supreme Court. I mean, they really try to protect the future of this country. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I think that's true, but then apparently in 1871, can't remember the name of the act. A lot of the viewers probably know already what I'm going to say. The politicians of the day created the Corporation of the United States of America. The constitutional government was pushed to the side, and the United States was made a corporation in 1871. It's a long time ago.
It's a long freaking
Yeah.
time ago. Yeah.
So we're talking about the constitutional United States lasted less than 100 years. Now, it's still there. It's still there, but it was supplanted by the corporation of the United States, 1871. And some people think that that was part of the agenda of, quote, the White Hats and the Trump presidency was to regain the constitutional United States, because apparently the corporate United States is bankrupt. It's been bankrupt for quite some time. So who knows? I don't know. Could be just speculation, could be conspiracy theory, or it could be spot on truth.
Well, yeah.
Don't ask me, I don't know.
There's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth in the middle, right? Somewhere
Yeah,
like that.
right,
That's
right.
amazing. I mean, look back at history. I mean, everything that happened now, in some way, shape, or form, really did happen to the United States a long time ago. I mean, this thing with the people having certain beliefs, like there's a lot of conservative people, John, and they believe in just, God, religion, right? And, raising a family. And then there's certain people that, no, it's all about the buck. It's about money. And it's about how much can I grab out of this. And it's always been like that,
Right.
There's been the average people. And that's it. That's why most politicians now are lawyers. They're attorneys. There's no average Joes running for president.
Well,
now.
that kind of reminds me of then talking heads on cable news and network news. A lot of those people are put into a pipeline, and a lot of them are legacies. They're generational family legacies too, and I know that for a fact. And they don't just turn them loose, on a television set, on a news set. No, they train them. They send them off for a law degree. They do this, they do that. When they come out, they're almost already polished. And then when they do come out, they send them, and you're going to be a foreign correspondent out of Arizona. Then you're going to go over here. Then you're going to go to California. Then you're coming to New York, and then then they're formidable. Then they're so polished that it's easy for them to put across the narrative to keep the people stupid and misinformed. How's that?
Talking about generational newsmen, I mean, there's Mike Wallace of 60 Minutes fame, and then Chris Wallace, his son.
No.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Mike Wallace, and that's his son, Chris Wallace.
For real?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, I think so. I mean, now
Chris
you're making me
Wallace-
doubt myself.
I just never put the two and two together.
Yeah.
Ever.
I believe so. Again, in the comments, because we throw stuff out there that.
Well, isn't that young Ducey that is always at the White House? Isn't he the son of the guy from Fox News?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's
Peter
an
Ducey and Steve Ducey, I believe,
Is
is
it
the
Gary?
father.
Gary did no.
No.
Peter Ducey.
Peter Ducey,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And he has some tough questions.
He does. He's there. Yeah.
I mean, he could be. I always think they could be a little tougher. I mean, what difference if you ask the toughest question in the world? If that person knows how to evade that question, they're going to evade that question.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to do that? But it seems like now more and more people are starting to speak up recently in those situations, in those the press conferences, asking some tough questions of the
Yeah.
administration.
Right. But you know what? Every once in a while, you got to step back, take a deep breath when you're watching mainstream media, whether it's the cable news network or it's network television news, and understand that these people rely on one another. It's like a bunch of lawyers that are the defendant's attorney, they're the counsel for the defense or the plaintiffs. They all know each other. And they're out there partying with each other, and there's no greater example of that than what's that end of the year party they have every year?
And they're actually having there's one press
Are they?
party down in Washington they're having this week, I believe.
What's it called? The
Don't ask me tough questions.
correspondence,
Yeah,
whatever.
something like that.
Right, and they're all there yucking it up, and they're all in their tuxedos and champagne, and they're roasting each other because one side can't exist without the other. You know, and who's caught in the middle? The victims, and the victims are the people. So when Jen Psaki,
Yeah.
and I don't think she's the press secretary anymore, right? Or the
She still is up now, but she's going to leave for a TV spot.
yeah, MSNBC or something. Well, there's no surprise, but you know, when she realizes that young Ducey is firing questions at her, she knows damn well it's almost like, you know, it's all in the family. She knows who he is. They all know each other's backgrounds.
I'm going to tell you a little story.
I love stories.
Yes, that's why we're here. We're storytellers. Something along those lines, John. So I knew somebody that worked with the Secret Service, okay, who shall remain nameless. And after Bill Clinton was not president anymore, but they still had a detail, okay? So they had to watch Bill Clinton, and he was going out to a restaurant, and they led him through the back, through the kitchen. They said Bill Clinton, the ultimate politician, was waving to all the kitchen workers like he was still running for election. You know, great personality, of course. Sitting at that restaurant, this was in Manhattan. So sitting inside that restaurant was a conservative radio personality. Yeah. I'm going to say the name Rush Limbaugh, the late Rush Limbaugh. Okay. Now, if you listen to Rush Limbaugh, he made a career of lambasting
Right.
the Clintons.
Yeah,
all right,
he did.
And he most of the time, if not all the time, he was spot on. Okay, and he questioned, and I'm sure he made life difficult for the Clintons at one point because his followership was huge. How many people used to listen to him? Yeah. So the person I know said, "Oh, this is going to be interesting," because as they're walking by, what happens? Bill, Rush, big hugs. Everybody knew each other from everybody's party. How you doing? Sit down. I don't know if they sent over drinks or a bottle of wine, but it was a very friendly and cordial exchange.
Sure.
So I'm like, wow, I'm like what you just said. I mean, they all know each other. I mean, here you go, people, and you would think totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And Limbaugh, made a career out of blasting the Clintons. He really did.
Right.
And here we go. They give each other big hugs.
Have you ever heard that? I don't know if it's the truth. I never felt compelled to look it up, but apparently the Bushes and the Clintons lineage go all the way back to the same small village in Great Britain 225 years ago.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, who knows?
Wow.
Who knows? Yep.
And one got involved with oil, right? The Bushes got involved with oil. And the Clintons, I don't think they came from money, Bill Clinton's family.
No, but there's all sorts of conspiracy theory speculation on who Bill Clinton's father was.
Really?
Hillary Clinton's family was pretty much well known.
The Rodhams?
Or something like that. Yeah, right. And but I mean, conspiracy theory, and I say that only because I have no idea, but there's this theory out there that Clinton somehow or another is a Rockefeller. I don't know if that's true. Who knows?
Bill.
It's like a lot of people out there are absolutely convinced that John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive. You know what? I wish that were true, but I don't know about that. I personally won't believe that until I see it, until it's proven. And it's not some body double with a rubber mask.
Oh, boy, that's scary. And don't forget about Bill Clinton's youth. I mean, he was very politically active, very anti-establishment. I mean, wasn't he in Russia himself as a young protesting or anti-war? I know he was in Russia a couple times as youth.
Possibly.
Going over there.
I don't know. Yeah. I know. All I know is that Bernie Sanders went on his honeymoon to Russia.
Bernie Sanders has been very quiet lately.
I like what you're doing. Well, I mean, how old is he now? Isn't he like 80?
Close to 100. No, I don't know exactly.
Close to 100.
I don't know how old he is, but, well, listen, his agenda is very liberal, right? Very to the left.
Well, I think he's pretty much in line with AOC.
No, he's not liberal. He's progressive.
Okay.
Right? We'll say that. and with AOC.
Yeah.
So why would I think he doesn't have to come out because, whereas this is the most progressive I've ever seen this country.
Right.
And it's progressively going downhill.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right too, but I think that's why Bernie Sanders is so quiet. And AOC as well. I mean, listen, she could be the new Bernie Sanders. I mean, she could have a job as long as she keeps getting reelected forever. For how long?
No,
It could be endless,
Yep.
I mean, they have that whole team, the squad, a very progressive group of female.
Well, I saw one of the squad in person at my daughter's graduation up in Boston. I don't know, 3 years ago. And, God only knows what gets into the heads of some of these people. But she was just dripping hatred and nastiness. Instead of her having a wonderful, upbeat agenda for her party and trying to gather followers,
Sure.
she spent a half an hour of our time wasting our time in front of 5,000 family members outdoors at an outdoor venue, just issuing venom, vitriol, hatred. And and when she finished, I think she expected a big, huge, uproar.
Crickets.
You could hear crickets. You
Wow.
could hear a pin drop. And I was like, I think people were just completely stunned.
Wow.
Like, do we want a monster like that, in office? But, she's there. She's there.
Talk about dark to
I'm not
light.
going to say who it is. We'll get bounced for that.
Yeah, wow. Some people, they have such, and we talked about this in prior episodes, John. They're in such a position where they can do so much good, so much leadership, really take things to a different level, really make things good. And yet it seems like divisiveness is all they're after. I mean, it doesn't make me feel good to yell at you, or you feel good to yell at me. I mean, what?
Right.
That's a personality disorder.
That reminds me of, those video shorts that you see on Instagram and Facebook, the kind that can keep you up for hours at night.
Yeah.
I like it when there's, it's that same voiceover where one cat's looking at the other, then it just starts beating the crap out of it. Bang, bang, bang. Before that, it goes, I don't want peace. I want problems. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, it's hysterical.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a good one. Yeah, I know when you get hooked on those videos, though. They're nonstop. It's perfect because they're only like 30 seconds long. What's the time limit for those? 30 seconds?
Well, Instagram itself is a 60-second thing, but this is like video shorts, and I think it's TikTok or whatever.
yeah,
but
one of those.
they're funny.
Yeah, they are funny. And you can go from a comedic one, right, to a serious one, to a lion in the jungle one, right,
Yeah.
to all of a sudden The Rock is posting a video, right?
Right.
And then you go to a sports guy, some sports hero. I mean, it's amazing. Everybody's posting. Tom Brady posted a few recently that I saw. Yeah, where he's amazing.
I bet you he ends up in politics.
Well, he is a leader. He is a leader.
He is a leader. He
If,
is a leader. As long as he keeps his balls inflated to the right
Yes.
pressure, he'll be okay.
I know there's a
Right.
documentary I saw recently called The Brady Six. Tom Brady is an interesting story. Yeah, he's easy to hate. Okay, we get
I
that.
don't hate the guy.
Well, a lot of people do because he's always winning. He's married to a beautiful woman. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, he's got a lot of things going his way, right?
Right.
But the Brady Six is about the 6 quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him in the draft when he got drafted.
All right.
So it talks about
Interesting.
the actual struggle Tom Brady had in high school, like freshman year. He on a team that
In high school.
in freshman year, he was the backup quarterback. Didn't play one down for a freshman team that didn't win one game. Okay, and then he went to he got to Michigan, and Michigan, no matter how good he did, he just never got the respect of his coach. It was always like,
I mean, he went to Michigan for 4 years.
yes.
Did he eventually start?
Oh, yes. He did start games, but then they were always giving it back to somebody else. I believe that the documentary said it was
Wow.
Drew Henson, who also got signed by the Yankees. So he never got really the respect he deserved. And instead of turning that into a negative, right, we always turn dark to light.
Yeah.
He turned that into motivation. So here he is. He grew up right, I think, 20 minutes out of Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Okay, and San Francisco picked another quarterback ahead of him, who I don't think made one start in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this kid lived from Michigan, so he was a proven big-time quarterback.
Right.
And he grew up 20 minutes from Candlestick Stadium, so it was a perfect fit. They just totally, and they said because he was physically unimpressive.
Reminds me of a story that you probably know this story.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? Had to do with quarterbacks. Did you ever see that show, Duck Dynasty? You know what?
A couple times.
What's his name? Phil Robertson?
I don't know, but I've
Yeah,
seen it.
Phil,
a couple
the
times.
big tall guy with the gray beard, he's the king of the Duck Dynasty. And they were like, rubber Phil Robertson dolls and bobbleheads all over for sale. Well, now he's like this, fire-breathing preacher. He's been that way for quite a long time. And he told a story that completely shocked me. He went to LSU.
Okay.
And he was the starting quarterback.
Are you serious?
Oh, then you don't know the story.
No, I don't know. Wow.
Well, listen to this. He's the
listening.
starting quarterback for LSU.
Big time.
Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson. I believe his name is Phil Robertson.
Big
right?
time.
Yeah. And he had the position completely locked up. The NFL was scouting him, all of that stuff. And for some reason, he just decided he had had enough. And he quit. He walked off the field.
Wow.
Guess who was sitting on the bench behind him?
Who?
Terry Bradshaw.
Are you serious? Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing how
Phil
things
Robertson, Duck Dynasty, was starting over Terry
happen.
Bradshaw.
Wow. What a
Right.
great story. That
Yeah,
is.
no,
Wow, that's
crazy.
awesome. And that's a great way to, let's close out this episode.
Yeah,
man.
okay. Any chance you want to alchemize today, Phil?
Alchemize, well, I'll make it pretty simple and basic.
Okay.
Because it'll always, we talk about fear to love, dark to light, and there's a quick saying that I always like. It always gets darkest before the light comes out. So no matter how deep your troubles are, or how deep you think you can't get out of something, or you're stuck in something, that's the darkest time. Well, guess what? That light is going to be there, and it always comes up every day. The darkest time.
Amen, brother.
Amen,
I
brother.
love that. God
Thank
bless.
you. Now, listen,
Right?
if you like what we're doing, press the like button and subscribe, Jersey Alchemist, and please watch part 1. Thank you for watching part 2. Peace.
Okay, see you soon.